Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Odd Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm your host, Jamie, and my co-host Eli over there on the other side. Welcome in, everybody.
Yeah. What? Hump day, Wednesday, baby. We're back. New location again. Sweet Jesus. New location again tonight. Probably like the fifth different one you guys have seen in the last couple months. But this is a one-off. Yeah, this is a one-off. So looks like fucking Christmas is going on behind me. But out of rhythm, back in business, baby. Jay, how you doing?
I am not too bad, but hey, if you guys missed me Monday night, you guys can go back and actually check that episode out on the 1 Foot Down podcast. That's actually on the Fantasy and Frames network over there, so you can go back and check that out. I was actually I was lucky enough to have Chris and Mike let me join them on their stream Monday night. It was fun. It was a blast, and we had. So just go back and take a look at that, and it was tons and tons of fun. So I mean, hopefully those guys will let me come back, but towards the end of the show, that character over there ends up showing up and doing some odd, weird things. I don't know what he was thinking, but it is what it is. But welcome in, everybody. It is championship week, so we all hitting our we are actually hitting all of our playoff times. So make sure yeah, I'm not sure what else I'm trying to say here, but we have studs and duds. Yeah, there you go.
But Chris, Mike, Jay, everybody did a great job. I caught the end of it, went back and listened to the entire show. Outstanding. Like Jay was saying, if you haven't subscribed to their channel, get on over there and do that, or watch any of the current videos they have up. We're gonna do a small recap of week 11, just to any games we saw or anything that stood out. Obviously, get into my gold star handout. Basically, it's like our weekly awards. You hang up on the fridge. So studs, duds, blacklist. I've been waiting for this guy to be blacklisted for a long damn time, and it's happening tonight. Gonna do some waivers, of course. Jay and I dig in deep to a bunch of different positions there, and then if we have time at the end, we'll do some sleeper 5. So kind of give you a few props, help you win some money.
Damn right.
And here we go. And Jay's got a great playlist over on YouTube. We got shorts, got all the goodies, full episodes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, bunch of different places. And then, as always, you can catch us both. I'd say we're both on Twitter more than Discord, so or X, the X. So that's probably a better place to discuss with us or get a hold of us, or Facebook Messenger. You can add me. I'll accept. Take it all requests. Feel like a fucking radio.
That's if you're a female. If you're a female, you might have a little bit of better advantage than being a male. So if you're a female, go ahead and add them up, because you might respond you might be a little bit quicker responding to your questions. But no, join our Discord. I actually do go over there and post the top 4, and I do go over there and actually post the other top 9 waivers over there. So I go so that's always posted over there. I always share the links and everything like that. So if you are in our Discord, I do still post quite a bit over there. But yeah, I mean, still trying to make that lively, because it'd be a great place for, especially if you guys are looking for leagues and stuff like that. But I did actually start a Facebook group page just for those things too as well. But it's called like the College Fantasy Finder, so it's kind of one of those. So it's a work in progress. So I mean, I think the link is in actually our description below too as well. But enough of that. We have a lot to get into, so let's get into.
I wore this tonight specifically for my brother. So this goes out to Eric. There you go, right there, baby. That's as bold as I can be. So, but I do love this shirt. I do love Bubs. I can't even go big red the rest of the season. They're in trouble. Okay, I don't mean to jump ahead here, Jay, but I got ADD. USC, Nebraska this weekend. Basically, I think the loser, losers at a great disadvantage of making a bowl game. I mean, let's just be honest. Nebraska loses, they'll be 5-5. USC loses, I think they'll be 4-6. Just pathetic. So I mean, it's not no playoff ramifications. But both coaches could be in trouble, if things go, pear shaped here for both these programs. But yeah, that's going to be disgusting. I don't even want to talk about Rayola, Nebraska. They've been blacklisted. They had the black shirts back in the day. They've been blacklisted. I don't want to talk about Nebraska. I don't want to talk about USC. I want to talk about positive stuff. We're trying to be positive here, Bubs.
Yes, we are. Unfortunately, I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know what to think about freaking, Nebraska anymore. I think they kind of hit their wall, but I mean, there's still opportunity for them next year because I mean, they have Dylan there. They can actually build around. Hopefully, they can get in some more guys to kind of help that offense spread their wings a little bit more. And I mean, I'm still a Huskers fan. I was kind of hyped because I actually do follow some of their stuff. They're they were sharing stuff about their prospects coming in and whatnot, signing guys and whatnot. So it's I like it.
I like it a lot. Get that down here. So we gave all the usual stuff, gave all the shout outs, kind of plugged our stuff. So you know what? Let's get into some, week 11. You know what? I love the fact that the national media is not going to talk about it, but I will. And we will because we're big G5 supporters. We love the G5 schools. I love the fact that there's so many teams in contention. Like if any more of these SEC teams slip up, I mean Georgia's walking a thin line right now. They got a big game against Tennessee coming up. Because they, they got curb stomped by fucking Ole Miss. So they're in trouble. and so while a lot of these 2-loss SEC teams are, LSU's eliminated. I mean, Alabama whooped them too. So we got Alabama, Ole Miss, probably some I'm missing, Missouri, but Missouri's shit. They might be 3 losses at this point, but there's a lot of these SEC teams that are walking a fine line, and teams like Washington State are stepping up. Washington State's moving up the rankings. Navy, well, not so much Navy. I'd say more Tulane. Tulane's coming. Their problem is they have 2 losses. Obviously, Army, they stay undefeated. They won 14-3 last weekend over North Texas. The G5 too. There's a lot of G5 teams still in contention. For the last playoff spot or maybe 2. It's. I'm just saying, you get enough of these teams. I mean, let's say it's just Oregon, Texas, maybe Indiana, Ohio State, teams like that all, maybe they're the only ones that have 1 loss at the end of the year. I mean, and let's say there's a bunch of 3-loss teams. If Army goes in and beats Notre Dame, in I think it's 2 weeks or a week and a half. Yeah, go Army, exactly. I don't think you can keep. I don't know. You can't keep Army out. I mean, Notre Dame is by far a top 15 team, possibly a top 10 team at this point. The way they've rebounded from that Northern Illinois game. They've been beating everybody in sight.
I don't think Notre Dame can actually get into the playoffs because they are.
Yeah, no, they can. It's like an at-large team.
Oh, they can. Okay, I didn't think they would because I was kind of mentioning like. Penn State and Indiana should be swapped. I mean, because Penn State's got 1 loss, and they, these rankings are, I was trying to talk about that a little bit Monday night a little bit, but
they're so skewed. They're so fucking. I heard a little bit when you were on with those guys about that. It's so fucking skewed. It's so biased towards Penn State and all the traditional powers. Like, what is Indiana? I think Indiana needs to go in and they need to beat Ohio State. At first, I was saying they got to keep it close. They got to keep it probably within 10 to get a playoff spot. But now I'm just like, just go outright beat them because then you can't argue that they're the second best team in the country.
No. I mean, hell,
you going to beat Ohio State? It's like we have the same resume as Oregon. Only we didn't beat Boise because we didn't play them. But I mean, they basically have the same resume as Oregon at that point. Texas has a loss. Texas and Indiana on a neutral field. I mean, that'd be tough. I mean, Texas is damn good, but I just think Indiana needs to handle business, and Army needs to handle business too, because they could take Notre Dame's spot, as being like the G5 or the independent team. Because if Boise wins out, Boise's getting that 11th or 12th seed, whatever it ends up being. But I think Army would have a case to take Notre Dame's spot. They go 12-0, beat them. And so, so they took care of business. Washington State took care of business. They're still in the hunt. And I mentioned a few of the other teams. LSU, they're done. They shit the bed. Alabama looked great. Jalen Milroe, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just kind of looking here. I was just kind of looking at the rankings. I was just looking at the rankings quick. I mean, I know, they knocked
fucking Miami. I forgot Miami. Miami shit the bed.
Yeah, Miami did. Yeah. I mean, and we'll talk about some of these too when we get toward the end of our show here. Notable games to actually watch, because I got some playoff teams up in there. So we'll discuss them quick too before we wrap up the show, and we'll put our thoughts on those too as well, because there's a couple teams that could if they get beat this weekend, they could be out for sure. So I mean, it's damn close with some of these teams, and I'm hoping Indiana just goes out and just wins their game, and hopefully Penn State loses, and I just want Penn State to lose, because after seeing what they really didn't do last week against, or the week before against freaking Ohio State, they're just a bland team. There's really nothing going on in there. They have
a tight end. They have a tight that Warren's the best. He's probably the best offensive player they have. Everybody else.
I mean, good for Penn State. But I mean, there's nothing. I mean, hell,
golf clap.
If
you want a cookie? You want a cookie, Penn State? Nah, because you're beating up on mediocre to average Big Ten teams. Can't beat the big boys. I mean, luckily they don't play Oregon here. Oregon stomped them out. Ohio State beat them. Indiana. I think Indiana could beat them on a
neutral
road game, whatever. I think Indiana would beat them right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. I was just going to say too, because Miami's got way more. I mean, the Hurricanes got a lot more weapons, and they their team is overall 10 times better than what freaking Penn State is. And if they matched up, they'd lose out pretty quick. Miami be the winner in that show game.
I don't know. I don't know. After what I saw against fucking Georgia Tech, King, the quarterback, was like a game time decision, and he goes out there and he beats whatever they were ranked at the time, number 4, number 5 team in the country. Miami deserved what they got. They got dropped to, I think, 12 in the AP rankings. I'm not sure about the updated playoff, but
the playoff they actually have them 9th. They have them 9th overall. So
their offense is great. Jay, the offense is great. Cam, I mean, you can see on the bottom, he's ticking right now. Like, Cam Ward is the number 1 fantasy quarterback.
Most definitely.
Restrepo is the number 2 fantasy receiver. And Martinez isn't a bad back, and a couple other guys that Arroyo, the tight end. So I mean, they got players there. It's just that defense is a shit. And they actually held, for Miami, it's a small victory. They held Georgia Tech to 28 points, but now it was the offense that kind of let them down. Only putting up 23. But
what do you think about it? Miami was playing with the devil there a little bit, because how they would have lost way back in what week it was, where they were down almost like 30 some.
Virginia Tech, they should have lost. Yeah, they should have lost.
So that should have been a lost game right there. But somehow miraculously they came back and won, and it had a Hail Mary on top of it. So it's just like they were kind of playing like that most of the year too. So I mean, it's kind of like they weren't really blowing out teams a lot either, so they were just kind of keeping teams in. So it's, I think once they get, they need to actually kind of get to the point where they just blowing out teams without even no hesitation. They got the weapons to do it. They just need to go out there and just get it done. That's all. Then there won't be no dispute conversations. Oh, well, Miami's kind of like a dud, so they can just get that from last week's loss done, or not done, out of here, just prove to people that they belong in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of these bigger programs do that. I mean, Texas Texas didn't fuck around with Florida. They stomped them out. Oregon doesn't mess around with these, lower end Big Ten teams. They beat the shit out of them. I mean, even Ohio State does it. These main programs that are capable of winning a national championship or winning at least one playoff game. Like right now, I think Miami's one and done. They got to do some work on that defense or something, man. It's just, I think they're looking dead. Penn State and Miami are looking dead in the eye of one and done. So if I'm a team, I want, if I'm Ole Miss, a team that just sneaks in, or a Boise, those are the teams I want. I want Penn State. I want Miami.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Oregon, the Ducks were pretty close to actually losing to Boise State here. So I mean, that was their, Boise State actually is a team that can compete with some of these big boys, and it showed that the Ducks, being the number one team now. I mean, they almost got beat way back in early at the beginning of the season, and when Gabriel was kind of struggling and whatnot. So I mean, now they got their shit together.
Yeah,
they're missing a few pieces. Even though they're missing a few pieces, but I mean, they still got their shit together.
Yeah, and they'll get Tez back. They'll get Tez back by the time of the playoffs. I mean, he won't be. I mean, if you're a fantasy owner, that doesn't help you at all, because I know some playoffs are probably coming up soon, probably after this week for a lot of leagues. So you probably won't see Tez Johnson again in fantasy, but he should be in for the playoff, which Oregon needs to win a national championship. They're going to need Tez. I mean, he's their number one guy. So.
Yeah, he is, and and a nice little thing is that Tulane just sneaked in at the the top 25.
Well earned, man. Right. They went. I mean, they kept. Yeah, I know Oklahoma, that didn't age very well. Oklahoma's like 5-5. They're not very good this year. K State. I mean, they're solid. But they held it. I mean, they could have went to overtime with K-State. They were pushing it there at the end. So those are their two losses. But I mean, Tulane's dominated everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, Tulane's
teams at their skill level and NIL budget. I mean, they've been beating them left and right. So, and Mekhi Hughes is a fucking monster.
Dude, I love that guy, dude. He's a freaking beast. But I'm happy that they're undefeated in the conference, so they probably will be playing Army Tulane for the championship. So that's going to be a nice game, and
Army needs that game. Army needs that
Tulane's
game.
Army
Army. Well, I mean, Tulane's. Let's be honest. I mean, they would. It's that second loss, man. If they had beat K-State, for example, like had come back, won that game, it would be a whole different ball game. I mean, they'd be probably 7 spots higher in the rankings or so, roughly 7 or 8 spots. And it'd be a whole different ball game about them possibly being the G5 team to get in. But that second loss kills them. But that would give Army another quality win. And then you throw in, if they can beat Notre Dame, a win over Tulane, a red hot Tulane team and Notre Dame, and they're going to keep Army out. I mean, there'd be a national riot. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. There would be a national riot if fucking Army didn't get a playoff spot, if they meet all those qualifications. I mean, just for the patriotism of it. And then there's other the Raging Cajuns, Louisiana. They're 8-1. They're probably going to win again this weekend, up to 9-1. So there's some really good. Memphis is, they've got a couple losses now. They got 2 losses, but Memphis has been game all year. Mario Anderson's a stud, the running back. So I mean, there's a lot of quality, G5 programs right now, and like we figured, all these stupid SEC teams, they're just beating the shit out of each other. They're all going to have like 2-3 losses, and I just hope the playoff isn't too heavy with them. I don't want to. I'll be honest. I don't want to see a fucking 3-loss Tennessee team in, if it came to that. if they lose, if they lose to Tennessee's playing, Georgia, and if they lose another game, I don't want to. Especially if Nico might be banged up, like he's kind of their star player. And him and Samson too, but. Oh man!
So the last game we'll actually wrap up with is BYU and Utah.
I knew that was coming. Yeah,
damn right, you knew it was coming.
Yeah. But how do you struggle with that Utah team? Colorado. I mean, Colorado's playing them for example. Like Colorado's playing them for week 12. Colorado is going to stomp them out. Like it's.
I don't. That was gonna. That's going to be a close game, honestly. I think. I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring in that game. I mean, if you think about what BYU, I mean, they should have had that game lost, but due to some
They shouldn't have been that close.
Of that penalty.
BYU, I mean, they're walking a thin line. They're walking a thin line. They have I mean, Iowa State is imploding. K-State's got 2 losses. I mean, Colorado is coming on they're coming on like gangbusters. They're on fire, but Colorado's got 2 losses, 1 loss in the conference. I mean, BYU has all they have to do is just, and they did. I mean, they ended up beating Utah, but like all you got to do is just win they're winnable games. All you got to do is just win out. That's it. All you got to do is win out, and then boom, your spot's secured. It's not that it's easy math. They're putzing around with teams like Utah. You don't want to give Colorado. You don't think that the fucking the betting public out there, or just viewership wise, you don't think that if they have a reason to put Colorado in, they're going to put Colorado in the playoff. They're going to be the Big 12 team. If it comes down to like, oh, BYU's got 1 conference loss and Colorado's got 1 conference loss. Well, Colorado's got 2 losses. BYU's got 1. They're going to put Colorado in because they're better. People want to watch Shedeur. They want to watch Travis Hunter. They want to watch Dion. I'm sorry, LJ Martin and Retzloff. I mean, they're not star names, household names. BYU, they have to win out. They have to have a perfect regular season.
I guess you can put it this way: BYU is that
Cinderella. They shouldn't have been in that spot. I guess that's my point, Jay. Is they shouldn't have been in that spot. Like they should have. They should have handled Utah by at least double digits.
Yeah. So pretty much saying BYU is the Cinderella of the year. The team of the year this year. So they should have. They should have handled their business this year. But I mean, against Utah, but it was just kind of right at the end. I'm like, dude, they have it. They had it lost, and next thing you know, they drove down and they won the game. So I was pretty happy about that. But I mean, Utah is a pretty good team overall. The defense is pretty good. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring in that Colorado game, unless something really dramatically changes. But I think, since Utah lost, they're going to be coming out with that sledgehammer, and they're going to be like, no,
they don't have a sledgehammer. That's the problem. They don't. They're off. I mean, they got a great
offense sucks, but the defense is good.
Kyle Whittingham's a great coach. We're not going to argue that. And their defense is. I mean, they're still game. They're still trying. I mean, Utah's not going to quit. I mean, that's a proud program. You know what I mean? They could have competed for. They were a top 10 team last year. Had Cam Rising stayed healthy. You know what I mean? So and he fucked them again this year, but he got injured.
Yeah, this is disgrace.
But yeah, Utah. I predicted Utah was going to win this conference at the beginning of the year. So I'm not arguing.
Voted a lot of people, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, they were a top program. I mean, how well they did in the Pac-12 last year, and I thought they were going to come in and win this conference year 1. But so I mean, yeah, I just think Colorado is coming, and I think that's the only team that BYU needs to worry about. I mean, they have like, it's like NASCAR, man. It's like NASCAR. They got a 6 second lead. They got a 6 second lead. They're going around Charlotte Speedway. They got a 6 second lead, and there's a caution that comes out. That the caution is Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. That's the caution.
Oh, but I mean, it was a good night game for anybody that was watching BYU. I was in tune, and I was like, "Oh, BYU, you better not lose this game." But yeah, was there any other games that I know I didn't had a couple, but I mean, I was watching that BYU game pretty heavily. Other than that, I didn't catch any other game. Well, the Georgia game, I know they lost there, so I was watching that game there a little bit while I was actually doing my laundry, so I was kind of watching that, and I mean, it was a right game. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad.
Jay, I swore I wouldn't mention them again because I blacklisted their quarterback. I pretty much I've been telling everybody Mike Norvell is going to get fired for the longest time. I said they were going to go 2-10, and damn it, they're going to go 2-10. Florida State they look like there were probably FCS teams that could beat them. I mean, I'm serious. I'm not even talking about like South Dakota State and Montana. Like some of the better FCS programs. I'm talking about like lower end, like low, like fucking, like a 4-6 FCS team would have a good shot at beating Florida State. I mean, they are hot garbage. I didn't know who the fuck was playing at quarterback. I mean, we do this. I was telling somebody this. We fucking do a weekly fantasy show on college football. There is not a single Florida State player that has popped on our radar, other than DJU, because we were making fun of him. Other than DJU, we haven't mentioned one single Florida State fantasy player. That is pathetic,
no.
Especially after last year. I mean, Jay, we talked about Trey Benson.
Oh yeah, yep. I think they went.
Jordan Travis? Jordan Travis
had one last.
Got hurt.
Yep, they only had one loss. They went like 11-1 or some shit last year. They went. So I mean, to go, almost. Yeah, it for sure. For them to go almost undefeated and then turn around and actually have a despicable year this year, that's actually saying a whole lot, because Florida State usually is never this fucking bad, which blows my mind. I'm like, how in the hell are you guys this bad? How can you guys not get freaking recruits into your
we talk about this stuff. There are plenty of G5 schools that have skill position guys up the ass. I mean, that are just popping, that are just, Trey Stewart from Jacksonville State. That's a Florida, like he went to a Florida school. You're telling me Florida State couldn't have recruited Trey Stewart? You don't think the guy's got 18 total touchdowns? I'm pretty sure the entire running back room at Florida State maybe has like 5 all year.
Oh my god,
it's pathetic. They're a pathetic program. It's like watching a national, what used to be a national power, just it'd be like us watching Alabama in a couple years and being like, what the fuck is this? What is this Mickey Mouse shit? I'm done. I'm done with my rant.
Change.
Right.
Yeah. No,
fire Mike Norvell. And if the Cowboys don't want Dion, then Florida State needs to give him a call and try to get him away from Colorado.
Right. But I think that kind of wraps up some of our week 11. We talked quite a bit. I mean, there was a lot of gander in there. So yeah, we're good to go.
Yes. Gold Star now. Jay's been telling me about this guy. He brought him up last week. Katin Houser is he is playing out of his mind. And it's like sometimes I don't know. I feel like it's like fantasy baseball where there's a guy that gets called up and he's just tearing it up. I know we talked about John Kitna's son from UAB. We were talking about him last week or 2 weeks ago. Kitna's been kind of coming on like gangbusters, and kind of out of nowhere, Katin Houser, who's a Michigan State transfer, kind of just on the scrap heap, comes out of nowhere. Has got 13 touchdowns in 3 games. It's incredible. But this past week against Florida Atlantic, 5 touchdowns, passing 343 yards. Throw in another 52 on the ground, another rushing touchdown. So 6 total touchdowns. You do 6 total touchdowns, you're going to get some, especially when you're not a name that just gets blasted all over ESPN and CBS and all these places. You're going to get some love from us. So Katin Houser from ECU, baby, the Pirates. They're coming on. Jay was saying that last week. They're coming on as a program. So far for the season, which isn't that old. I mean, like I said, he just took the job over not too long ago. The completion percentage isn't great, but that who gives a shit about that in fantasy? The guy has over 1,000 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks. Those are some pretty good damn stats there. Do you have any more thoughts on Houser? Just seeing him one more week, just kind of he's backing it up.
Well, I mean, he will be in my waiver ads. So I mean, there's a good chance. Should be. You should maybe, if you're looking, because we have 18 teams on bye. So if you really need a quarterback, he would be a guy you want to pick up, because they actually got they have Tulsa, North Texas, and Navy. So these are all great matchups. I'll dive a little bit more into that when we hit the waivers, but these are all good matchups.
Yeah, Tulsa has the worst pass defense in the country. I mean, Tulsa, their pass defense is pathetic. So I mean, they primed for another 5 touchdown game. Absolutely. So kudos to Katin Houser. Love it. what I don't love, and usually I'm pretty nice to this guy. He's been on like our players to watch a couple times. He's been on our waivers, especially earlier in the season. He was on our waivers a few times. So Chandler Morris has had, given that he was on the scrap heap, he's a 5th or 6th year player. I mean, he's transferred a few times. So Chandler Morris, just seeing where he's at now, I mean, it's awesome. And still has good stats for the year. Has over 3,000 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 10 picks. But Army, they had his number, man. 214 yards passing, no TDs, 2 picks. And he's not a real mobile guy, but he didn't give you shit on the ground. It's like -3 yards rushing. It's a terrible fantasy week. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Chandler Morris? It's not a recurring thing with him, or it hasn't been like a week to week thing, because he had 3 touchdowns the previous game. So it's not like I think this is just a blip on the radar. I think he'll be back to his good fantasy ways, but yeah, this was just a shit show. I mean, Army's defense just clamped down on him.
Yeah, I mean, they should have. He might rebound pretty good. I mean, they got UTSA, ECU, and Temple. So I mean, these are all games for him to rebound back.
Yeah.
So these are all friendly matchups. So these teams are all in the bottom 100, of college. So I mean, these are a team that you can be easily pass on, even though we know that North Texas is more of your pass heavy team. So I mean, Chandler's still not out of the question. Yeah, he might have been a dud last week, but I mean, you can't pass up a guy who's tossing down 40, between 30 to 40 fantasy points a week. A little bit different game, because Army's been rocking it all year long. So it was a tough matchup, but overall, I mean, you're not gonna be benching Morris.
He's a top. Jay, he's a top 10 fantasy quarterback. You ain't benching him.
No. Nope, not at all. I mean, I like what he's been. I mean, he's got good. I mean, if you think about it, they got good weapons. They were just shut down this last weekend. That's all. I mean, they'll more likely rebound. I mean, they'll have a good game against the Roadrunners, and they got the Pirates, and then they got the Temple Owls. I mean, these are all going to be good matchups where he's actually going to be tossing some touchdowns.
Oh yeah, and he's got 2 damn good receivers. I mean, you look at DT Sheffield is the number 4 fantasy receiver. Ward, the other receiver. Yep. Yeah, Ward and Sheffield are that's one of the better 1-2 punches in the country. So I mean, they're not injured or anything. So yeah, it's a blip on the radar. Don't lose, especially with the playoffs coming up. At least have him as your backup. I mean, don't cut bait or do anything stupid. I would do the opposite though with Carson Beck. Oh my God. I need to put some water. I don't know if you can see. I need to put some water out in this fire. This dumpster fire known as Carson Beck. Oh my God. What is this? Ick. He gets a pass because he plays for Georgia. Everybody loves Georgia. Go Dogs. Fuck out of here with that. This is terrible. This will end up being a YouTube short. It has to. Somebody needs to say it. His not only his draft stock, but the last second half of this season, most notably the last 3 games, have just been, I mean, dog shit. Absolutely pathetic. So for the year, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't look terrible for the year. For a top quarterback with a big program with weapons up the ass, it's a bad stat line, but it's not like awful for the whole year. It's like, he's a little under 2,500 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 12 picks. Doesn't give you anything. And that's what the modern quarterback, if you're going to be a pocket guy, you need to be accurate. And I'll get into that in a second, like where he's lost his accuracy at. But he doesn't give you anything on the ground. I mean, look at that. That's fucking like what remember Drew Bledsoe from the Patriots and Cowboys back in the day? Like he couldn't move. That's like his stat line. Like 38 carries, 39 yards. But Drew would always sneak a couple touchdowns in. This guy has no rushing touchdowns this year. He's the number 63 fantasy quarterback, which for a program like Georgia is awful. I mean, just dog shit. Last 3 games, Jay, 670 passing yards, two touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Get this, -18 rushing yards. I almost think, like, if it wasn't for the passing yards, he would have negative fantasy points. What? he would have negative fantasy points for the last 3 games. Like, you accumulate all 3 games, he would have negative fucking fantasy points. It's been dog shit. And like, I've been wanting to do this for a while. That's why I'm so excited about this. I mean, you thought Drew Allar from Penn State was one thing. You thought Jalen Daniels from Kansas was another thing. Carson Beck is right up there with DJU. I mean, just nasty, just reeks like garbage. Jesus Christ. And I'll let you comment, Jay, but I was going to say last year, I put that on the bottom of the graphic there. He completed over 72% of his passes, 24 touchdowns, 6 picks. He's never, like I said, he's not a mobile guy, but at least he gave you 4 rushing touchdowns and a little over 100 yards last year. So, I mean, that's a little something to supplement for fantasy. And he was the number 23 fantasy quarterback last year. So, which is respectable. That's nothing, nothing too bad or anything. But this year, yeah, just been dog shit.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, Carson Beck is like almost the bottom 50 fantasy player on the year.
He is.
And it's to compensate
and
that.
Probably a fourth round quarterback now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, guys like, Malik Murphy from Duke playing better than him. We have like Kaden Velterkamp who's playing better than him. We even have Garrett Nussmeier who's actually playing better than him. And and then we have
Nussmeier's way better. Hell yeah, I would take Nussmeier 10 times out of 10 over this guy.
And then we have Eli Holstein, who's a freshman at Pitt, who's actually playing better than him. So it's crazy to think. It's crazy to think about, man.
Start going down the list. Yeah, you start going down a list of all these players. I'm like, yep, I'd rather have him, and obscure guys that nobody knew who they were. A couple weeks ago, Tyler Huff from Jacksonville State. I'd rather have Tyler Huff from Jacksonville State than fucking Carson Beck. You damn right.
Tyler Huff is still out there, available to be picked off the waiver wire.
The number, I think he's still a number 11. I'd have to double check that, but yeah, he was hovering around the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks. I mean,
he's 18th overall right now.
So he dropped a little bit there, but yeah, it's fucking Carson Beck. Everybody's. I mean, I think the bloom is starting to come off the rose. I don't think people are on his dick as much as they were a few months ago. The way the season played out.
Well, like we always say, the media is always hyping up somebody. Hyping up all these
Power 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're hyping him up. It was funny because I seen a meme. Who was it? Somebody they had him a meme to was it the South Park guy, the kid in the wheelchair? He kind of looks like
Timmy.
But I was like, oh my god, that looks pretty damn close to what he looks.
If Timmy wasn't special. If Timmy wasn't special in a wheelchair, it'd be Carson Beck.
But overall, right now, like in my for dynasty rankings, he's actually I got him at the bottom. I think I had him ranked 9th right now in my my rough draft. So, I mean, he's at the bottom. I mentioned that. I mentioned that I actually have Kyle McCord better. I mean, over freaking Carson Beck. So
I do too. Yeah, I do too. And I mean, we'll have to get into. When we start getting into our spotlights for the draft and kind of where he'd fall, kind of taking the next step. I mean, we look at it like at the college level and what he's doing, and his fantasy stats are shit. Georgia could, they could easily lose to Tennessee this weekend. So, I mean, he could be out of the playoffs, bad fantasy year. I already said Stetson Bennett was better, the previous quarterback. So, I mean, this guy's stock is just, in dynasty, in the draft, I mean, everything. It's just it's fallen like a lead balloon.
It has been.
Garbage goober, get out here and eat this garbage.
Exactly. Garbage.
Yes.
I don't enough negativity, Jay. We blacklisted enough. We've mocked enough players and blacklisted enough players. Can we get to some waivers?
Let's go.
And if you haven't yet, I think Jay usually pops up something, but I'll beat him to it. Like, subscribe. You help us out to the channel, and you know what? If you know anybody that likes college football that wants to try fantasy, is doing fantasy now, doesn't know about us, help spread the word. Yeah, exactly. So if we're not here begging for please like us, love us. We're not none of that nonsense, but. we'd appreciate it. Absolutely. Boom. Got some waivers going on here. Week 12 edition. And so I usually leave my graphic up after, like LA Knight says. So I usually leave my graphic up on the bottom, and then Jay will come in with his list as well. So we kind of tag team it there, kind of make a good PB and J. It's almost like a triple decker. You got to add that extra layer of peanut butter and jelly and that extra piece of bread. You make it a triple decker. True Edwards, not True TV. Not Drew Holiday, but True Edwards is from Louisiana Tech. Will be my number one fantasy pickup of the week for Fantrax. He's only rostered 34%, started 24%, so he's available in a bunch of leagues. And I'll grab my little handy dandy. I feel like Steve from Blue's Clues. Got my little pad here. But True Edwards, and we love us some Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State's been a big team on our radar the last couple weeks. True Edwards played them last week. 6 catches, 8 targets, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. So that was a monster week. He's had a few other good games. I'd say this was one of the best of the season, if not the best. On Fantrax, and that's a different point system than different places, but on Fantrax, he's averaging about 17.5 points a game, which isn't bad. I mean, that's very respectable. And if Jay was saying too, how many teams? What do you got? 18 buys.
Teams on buy. Yep, 18.
Yep, yeah. So I mean, that's a ton of buys this week. Indiana, who's a heavy hitter. I mean, they're out. They're taking a buy this week. So we know you guys need players. Maybe some depth on your bench, maybe a 1 week fill-in guy. He'd fall more into either a one week fill-in guy or just some depth on your bench if you wanted to improve the bench a little bit. I think that's where True Edwards would fall in. Number 2, and if you have any thoughts, Jay, stop me and go ahead and jump in. But I'm gonna go with number 2, Ahmad Harvey. I've actually had, I think the only other time I've referenced him would have been, he was on like a players to watch. I forget if it was week 6 or 7, somewhere in that range, but
yeah, I'm not sure. It could have been
Louisiana Monroe. We don't get, I like talking about some of these schools we don't give a lot of love to. So Louisiana Monroe, Ahmad Hardy, 46% rostered, 28% started. So much like True Edwards, available in a bunch of different size leagues. And what I like about him, he's had 4 straight 100-yard games, including a 200-yard game. So, I mean, he's been on fire So I think if you start him, you're going to get the yards, and he would be a plug-and-play running back. He would be a guy, me personally, I would feel comfortable on a bye week slipping into my running back spot. You're going to get the yards. I mean, he's got a 4-game track record to show that. You're going to get the yards, and you just hope for a touchdown. Or maybe 2. I mean, you hope he maybe explodes and just improves on that a little bit, gets some goal line action or breaks one or something. Ahmad Hardy. So he's my number 2. Riley Leonard, number 3. And we've wavered on this guy. I know he was one of the original spotlights we did last year when he was at Duke. We did a college spotlight. We're like, oh, this guy's going to come out for the 2024 draft. Wrong. He can't be any worse than Caleb Williams, though.
Oh, goodness.
But no, Riley Leonard been playing great lately. Notre Dame's been playing great. Can't wait for that game against Army. That's gonna be some. I'm gonna get my beer and my popcorn ready for that. 27 points, 27 fantasy points on Fantrax. Like I said, it could be different in some different platforms or whatever, but 27 plus points the last 5 games on Fantrax. So he's had a consistent record now, and I'll take that. And you throw in, not every game was 27. I mean, there were 3 of the 5 games he was above 30 points. So basically, 3 of the last 5 games he's been above 30 fantasy points. He's right in that. I think the last month he's been averaging 30.5, 31. So I mean, I'll take it. On a bye week, Riley Leonard, if you need a quarterback, I'd consider him. I wouldn't go with him the rest of the year. They're much better fantasy options, but I would definitely pick him up and start him if you need that extra quarterback. And he's rostered quite a bit, 84%, so might be a little harder to get your hands on him, but I know he's available in at least one of the leagues that me and Jay do together on Fantrax. Penn State defense, I'll put at number 4 because, damn it, I was going to go with a couple other options, but they were picked up, of course. I was considering Oregon. Oregon was in the mix, of teams that didn't have buys. South Carolina's defense, they've been playing great. They had 9 sacks, I think, the previous game. So South Carolina's defense was on fire. They got picked up too. Go figure. So, you know what? Next best option, Penn State. They had 8 sacks the last 2 games, so 5 and 3, and then 1 defensive touchdown. And then I think they had, 48 fantasy points combined the last 2 games, so about 24 points a game the last 2 games. And they've got another favorable matchup coming up. So 99% rostered, going to get another one of these teams. Going to be hard to get your hands on, but they are available in one of the leagues that we do. So you'll find, you should be able to find them. If nothing else, I put a nice consolation at Oregon. I put Oregon as my number 2 defense that you could probably get and definitely start. Penn State, Oregon, I would feel comfortable playing either of these defenses this week. You're not facing any high-powered offenses or anything. And then number 5, got Joshua Simon from South Carolina. South Carolina, they jumped into the rankings. I think they're up to 23 in the AP rankings. They've been playing. I think they've had a really underrated season, and we haven't really got into a lot of their fantasy guys. So giving them a little love here. The tight end, only 23% rostered, 15% started. So he's going to be available in just about any size league. I would guess on any platform that they'd have fantasy. You could pick this guy up. Touchdown in 3 straight games. That would be his big claim to fame. Touchdown 3 straight games. I love that from a tight end because that guarantees to me that guarantees you're going to get double-digit fantasy points. You're going to get at least 10 if they get you a touchdown, even if it's a shit target game. Shit reception game, whatever. The touchdown is going to put you into the double figure category. So these are my 5. You have any thoughts, Jay, on any of these guys?
I know the LA Tech down there. You might be able to look at one of their wide receivers too. I mean, he's available too. He had pretty much a monster day too. True Edwards, he had a pretty good monster day. I mean, he's seen. I was debating if I kind of wanted to put him in my waivers or not because he's kind of been hit. He's kind of been a boomer bust kind of guy. But I mean, he kind of lacks some touchdowns, but he had 142 yards against Jack State here with 2 touchdowns. He's 8 targets. I mean, couple did double-digit targets in there. But I mean, I think he's had like 3 or 4 100-yard games so far already. It's just the downside of just no touchdowns.
He's back
to back.
Yeah, of these 5, Jay, he's probably the one guy that I would be the most hesitant about. Well, what do you have him number 1, Eli? Because you know what? Because I do. Because he popped last week. That's why I have him number 1. But he would be a guy that I might want to just pick him up and then let him simmer a little bit. Put him on the bench. The rest of these 4 guys, I definitely Leonard, Hardy, and Penn State. Those 3, I would definitely pick up and start right away. Absolutely. Simon, depends on the the matchup or what your tight end situation is. Maybe you need you need a better backup. He might fit that role, but Edwards is streaky. I mean, but it's nice to know that he can put up that kind of stat line, that kind of game, because that's what you're going to need. He's not an every week player, Jay. Like I was saying, he's not an every week guy. He would just be an emergency break glass. I have a bye. I need to stick somebody in there.
Yeah, I mean, for them playing Western Kentucky, and then they have I think it's Arkansas. Then they have Kent State. Kenneth State, which
Kent
for the
State's awful. Yeah, so he got a couple. He got two good matchups there. Arkansas might be a little tricky, but you got two good matchups there. You can put up some points, definitely. Yeah, we're the bench spot.
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, with him having a couple, at least a touchdown here this last weekend. The last 2 weeks he didn't have a touchdown, but I honestly I don't mind it one bit. I mean, he's worth a look at, especially with the last couple of games there. If you're looking for guys that might get injured or anything like that, he's the guy you might want to take a look at. And then tight end, I think I mentioned him last week too. I mean, he's kind of been coming along too. We talked about him a little bit last week.
Great
not a bad option for sure. Because I mean, with the tight end position being very kind of hit and miss a lot, and some tight ends kind of coming on toward the the playoff time is when you want to get on these guys, because there's another guy I'm going to mention too. You might want to take a look at, but yeah, Simon is the guy you want to take a look at, or not take a look at, but at least get him on your roster, because I mean he had a touchdown in the last 2 games. So I mean he had a touchdown against Texas A&M, 2 touchdowns, and he had a touchdown against Vandy. I mean the targets not so much. I think I mentioned he was maybe averaging 3 to 4. I don't remember, or somewhere between the 4 and 5, somewhere in. I can't remember exactly, but I mean
he's had 5. I think he's had 5 J in the last like 2 or 3 games. He's average is probably 4.5.
Yeah, somewhere right in there. Yeah.
With him, it's the touchdown. If he doesn't get the touchdown, you're fucked. You're gonna have like a 4 or 5 point fantasy game or something. But you get that touchdown, that makes him respectable that week, I should say.
Yippers, you got that right. Yep. I thought I had some notes on him from last time, but maybe I didn't. But oh well, it is what it is.
Well, you probably do what I do. You probably practiced your jump shot and threw him away.
No, when I keep a handy little notebook here, those notes don't go away, because then I can always go back and take a look. I'm like, oh hey, well this guy did this and this, so it's always nice to have those.
Here's what I think of that. Kobe.
All right.
What do you got for me?
Well, what do I got for you? Well, I don't know. But what do I got for you? Well, we'll take a gander here.
Surprise me.
We'll see what I got for you, man. So everybody, if you guys are not following me on Twitter or X, at Algorithm Fans, you will more than likely see all these on X. Monday, Tuesday, somewhere in there. I get those handed out, but if you want my early stuff, that usually comes out between 6 a.m. Monday morning. So that's my top 4 guys that I think you should pick up, which is usually at the first 4 on this list, and then I combined a couple more guys, and then your tight ends, kickers, if you're looking for a kicker, and defenses and stuff like that. So make sure you do maybe go over, maybe bookmark that. You can bookmark that, so because I actually started at week 1 or week 2, so you can go back and look at every single person we talked about on this show from week 1 or week 2 to up to now. So I mean, we have tons of information for you. Or if you want, hey, jump into Discord, because they're always posted right there too. So if you want to jump in our Discord, the information's right there for you too as well. So if you guys haven't, I'll mention my stuff here real quick. On we talked about Katin Houser here a little bit earlier at the beginning of the show here. My thoughts on him is he's averaging 29 fantasy points per game, give or take. He was 12% rostered. He risen up to 24% rostered, which is a 17% increase, 16% started. They actually got Tulsa, North Texas, and Navy here the next 3 games. So I mean, these are all good matchups. Tulsa's given up 308 yards, a game. North Texas has given up 243 yards. Navy's given up 230. So I mean, these are teams that are just giving up, just yards upon yards upon yards. So I mean, and he's had 13 touchdowns the last 3 weeks too. So I mean, this is a good opportunity. As we mentioned, we think you should get him on your rosters. No ifs, ands, or buts, because of the weeks here are with the 18 teams on bye. You really need somebody to have a backup to, especially you got your guys like Cam Ward, that are out, and there's probably some other guys up in there as well. So
Miami's off this. Yeah, Miami's off this week. Curtis Rourke from Indiana. A couple guys that might be starters in a few of your leagues. Definitely Cam. I mean, he's number 1 fantasy guy, universal.
Yep.
Hauser would be a nice fill-in. Just saying, we've been saying, you're maybe you didn't even have a backup. Maybe your bench is, oh shit, I haven't been paying attention all year. I don't have a backup quarterback. There you go. You're bailed out.
Yeah, for the last 2 weeks, he's averaged about 45 fantasy points the last 2 games. So I mean that's a lot of fantasy points just sitting there with him taking over here, and he actually started turning it on in the last 3 weeks. So I mean, with his
he's turning me on. He's turning me on with all those points.
As we would say here, we are.
I am McLovin.
I am McLovin.
All right, so the next guy, if you guys didn't catch me on on Monday's show, I mentioned Trent Walker as a guy to probably add because he's actually seeing the double-digit targets here. He's kind of your boomer bust kind of guy. Only he's very touchdown dependent, but I mean I think they got some good matchups going forward here. I can't remember who they are playing here. Air Force, Washington State, and Boise State. So I mean, these are all games where he could probably seek a touchdown up in one of these games. So I mean, he's very touchdown dependent, but the upside is he's seeing double-digit targets almost every 9 out of 9 or 6 out of 9 games. Sorry, buddy. So I mean, the targets there, it's just a lack of touchdowns in my eyes. But he's averaging about 15 points per game without having a touchdown up in there. But so he's got favorable matchups going forward.
I think he'd be on more people's radars if he could pop. He's probably I haven't checked the sleeper 5, but Walker's probably you could probably triple your money if you put a touchdown, anytime touchdown down on him. But so he'll break through hopefully one of these weeks. Maybe it's the week that Air Force is trash. Maybe you pick him up, you start him against Air Force. Maybe he has 2 touchdowns. Maybe he breaks the ceiling and. I'd be okay with that. I mean, his floor is very low. Like, I don't think he's going to have a 6-point fantasy game or something that's going to really screw you. I think 15 is kind of his, kind of a sweet spot. And if he gets a touchdown, I mean, then we're up in the 20s.
Yeah, for sure. So the next one on the list is Anthony Smith from ECU. So I mean, there's 2 Pirates on this list, which is kind of a little unorthodox. Little unorthodox, but
yeah.
So
I think LA Knight's a Pirate.
Smith has reaped the benefits of a quarterback chain, which is nice for this ECU offense here. In the last 2 weeks, Smith has seen a touchdown in all the games. He's averaging, I mean, he's got averages about 5 single targets a game. Not a whole lot, compared to some couple of these other guys. But he's one of these guys that's he doesn't need a lot of targets to break out to get it to have a 100-yard game or a touchdown. So I mean this is a guy who's kind of explosive, doesn't need tons of targets to actually break down the field anyways. He's only 1% rostered, only 1% started. So I mean, like I mentioned before, they have good matchups, and just going back and taking a look at it, with Houser, he's, Smith is actually seeing 23% of the target share. Sal, the other guy, 25% target share. And then Wright Jr. is another one of their guys who's actually seeing about 30% of the targets. So, I mean, if it's not Sal, how's Anthony will actually see. Those 2 are kind of mixed, kind of back and forth there a little bit. So if it's not Sal, he sees, he's going to go to Smith there. But, I mean, Smith has seen the touchdown upside. Sal's not bad. He's seen some double-digit targets, but Wright overall has the more touchdowns out of 3 of these. Kind of the triple stack. They have a, he's got a triple stack. Here. So I mean, he's got weapons up the yin yang for ECU to look good here the next 3 weeks, anyways.
And Tulsa's defense is trash. So I specifically. I mean, you could probably do a combo here and pick them both up. If you had a.
I mean, I picked up Sal here this last week, but I mean Smith and Wright are both on the waiver wire right now. I just looked. I mean, they're still out there on waiver wire, so they're out there to be snagged up. So it all depends on. But I think they'll be. These guys could be guys that could probably win your championships too. I mean, with
get my phone here. I think I'm going to pick them up while you're talking.
How dare you do that to me? You can't do that.
There you go.
Sweet Jesus.
All right. So my next guy is on this list is Braden Bennett from Coastal Carolina. Bennett might not be that 1,000-yard back we all expect to see, coming from the Sun Belt Conference. I mean, he's a bell cow kind of guy. I mean, it's very possible this guy can actually probably win you your championships too as well. I mean, he's rostered in 34% of leagues, 26% started. I mean, he's averaging 21 points a game. It should be kind of an eye opener to everybody right there. I mean, averaging that many. With 34 fantasy games he played against App State, had 34 fantasy points there, and he's got in Marshall, Southern Georgia, and Georgia State to wrap up the college fantasy season. So these are all bottom feeder teams. Marshall gives up 179. Georgia Southern gives up 185, and Georgia State gives up 203 in rushing yards. So
every time I've seen Georgia State on the TV glancing up some weeknight game or something, they're giving up a lot of points. So
yep.
and Bennett, I've been eyeing him for a while. Like he's been on my radar for weeks, and I haven't really talked. I mean, I've used him for stuff, but I haven't really talked a ton about him. But I'm glad you brought him up again.
Yep.
He's what is he over 20? I think he's like 21 a game, roughly.
Yeah, about 21. Yeah, about 21 a game. Yep, he's got 21 points per game. So I mean, it's
nice filling guy. Nice filling guy.
Going up 35%. His stock went up 35%. So I mean, he's about 44% rostered. So I mean, his stock has gone up here the last couple of weeks, and he's a guy you might want to look at. So I mean, with these defenses, being very vulnerable against the rush. I mean, these are teams that he's had 5 touchdowns the last 2 weeks too. So I mean, there's a good opportunity for him to score maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns against one of these two, one of 3. Yes. So let's hit up Damir Miller, Rutgers. 12 points the last 12 points per game. It's only 7% rostered, 4% started. The last 2 weeks he saw 33 targets, which is nuts. Two tutties. He had two tutties against Minnesota. He had the week before he played USC. He had 11 for 131. But he's seen 15% of the target share, so he is their wide receiver 1 down there. But they do have Mungai down there as well. But they do got Maryland, Illinois.
He's fallen off a little bit. He's fallen off a little bit in fantasy. Maybe Miller's been taking. They've been throwing the ball more, and so yeah, I'm okay with this. Yep. How many Rutgers references do we get
here? And not too many, not at all, really. I mean, other than that, then we have Maryland, Illinois, and Michigan State for the college fantasy playoffs here. So Maryland gives up 200
world beaters there.
Yeah, so they get Maryland gives up 265, Illinois 211, and Michigan State gives up only 194 yards in the receiving game. So I would be cautious with maybe Michigan State, but maybe Maryland and Illinois could be favorable matchups. But yeah, Michigan State, I'd be a little bit more yearly on that one there. But the first 2 games, totally doable there. Well, Telly Johnson was a guy we kind of mentioned on Monday's show when we were on Monday. Yep. If he had 23 for 440, 141 yards, and 2 touchdowns there. It didn't sound like he was going to play this week, but it was just a last minute thing. So if you didn't follow you
guys are all related. Andy Miller is a good Miller.
Yes. But
Miller time.
Unfortunately, I didn't know they were playing tonight. So if you actually missed out on picking him up, it might be a long shot in that, because I'm not sure who they play after that, because I didn't write anything else down, because he's going to be on waivers, so I mean you can't claim him or anything like that. But I mean with them playing Akron, it was a favorable matchup. And I was actually going to look at the score here quick too, because I know they're playing right now.
Ooh, yeah.
So so he's actually had 17 carries for 91, no touchdown yet. But I mean, he should have been a guy you probably should have picked up. It is actually raining there too as well. So I figured that they probably won't be passing much. It's gonna be more of a ground game there. So I mean, it's almost 100 yards, no touchdown yet. But I mean, other than that, the week before he had a touchdown. But other than that, we're gonna head on over to 7, 8, 9. We have Taylor Thompson. We talked about JMU here a little bit before. He's kind of been on the rise here a little bit too. We mentioned him with JMU actually being. Let me pop up my stuff here real quick. So the last couple of games here, he's actually had a touchdown. So if you are looking for a touchdown, he does have favorable matchups going forward. He's got Old Domain. He was App State, and then they have Marshall out in week 14. So I mean,
tell Jay, just quick. Tell he's got 91 yards rushing.
Yep, I just mentioned that. Yep, 91. Yep. But I mean, other than that, Thompson is. If you're looking for another tight end, Taylor Thompson is a guy you want to look at too. We mentioned him. I can't remember what week it was. I know we brought him up. We talked about him a little bit before in one of these weeks. I can't remember which week it was, but it could have been probably against Ball State, probably when he was kind of on fire here. He had a couple touchdowns back to back. It was probably after that.
Probably when Barnett was playing. Probably when Alonzo Barnett was tearing it up.
Yep, that was probably back when they played UNC, Ball State. Yep. Other than that, if you're looking for tight end, he's out there available to be picked up. Then I put a Raging Cajun, kicker up in here. I mean, here
we go.
I know, right? It was kind of crazy to think about. I'm like, who can we pick up this week? And I'm like, well, I guess this guy is out there. I was kind of like, I kind of look at it, guys.
Andale.
Maybe somebody picked him up already because I was just gonna write off his stats here, and he actually, I can't remember how many. He had some good fantasy points too. I think he had either 12 or 14 fantasy points last week. Kicked all of his field goals. So I mean, with the Raging Cajuns, these smaller teams, a lot of times they how I'm going to say it is, they don't put it. Some teams can't put up a lot of points, so they'll end up kicking it. But if they end up struggling, the kickers actually come in handy when it comes to things like this. So I mean, kickers are kind of kickers can be one and done for week to week, or you can kind of stick with the same kicker. I mean, we've mentioned different kickers before, and I'm like, ooh, well, hey, we'll just stick with Raging Cajun, and because they actually have some good games going on here.
I actually have him.
You're probably the guy that actually picked him up.
Yeah, fucker. Let's see.
Yeah, you did. You'd probably picked him up.
In the dynasty. Yeah, I'll show you right here. I'll show you right
I know.
here.
I'm looking at it right now. You cracker. Yeah. So I mean, the last.
How does my ass taste?
Shut up. Oh, but I mean, he's had double digits, pretty much every single week. So I mean, that's why I thought he'd be a good ad, because he hasn't seen I think there was one or 2 weeks at the beginning, early in of the year, where he had only single digit fantasy points, but since then he's had double digit fantasy points. And then Mizzou is a defense you could probably, you more likely pick up. They're widely available. I thought, with them playing against South Carolina, it would probably be a good ad, pretty much a good ad. I was looking at the last few weeks here. Somebody probably already picked them up already too, because I'm like, no, because I know they were seeing double digit fantasy points too as well.
Yeah, they were in that same mix, same vein as Penn State, Oregon, Cal. There's a lot of those defenses that are hovering right around 20 points a game. So yeah, Missouri. I don't think any of them are. There's a ton of difference. I tend to like the two Big Ten teams because they have better matchups. Just I think the scores are going to be lower and more opportunities for sacks and turnovers. But Missouri, I don't think Missouri is a bad option if you got to go with them against South Carolina.
Yeah, I kind of look at sacks, takeaways, and stuff like that a little bit. So I mean, they had against Oklahoma, which is a pretty decent, Big 12 team. Well, actually, SCE team.
Well, they were a decent Big 12 team, and then they went to the SEC, yes. And now they're getting a nice 5-5 wake up call.
Yeah, so I mean, for them to have seen at least 2 to 3 sacks every game, with at least a few takeaways each game is not a bad way to go to win yourself a championship too as well, because they actually have South Carolina, they have actually Mississippi State, and then they have Arkansas too as well. So I mean, these are all just good matchups to Mississippi State's kind of hogwash a little bit. I mean, they're mediocre. Arkansas a little bit more stouter, but I mean, Mississippi State's just They better call up Dak. They might need him.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Mississippi State is dog shit. They're probably the worst team in the SEC. They're awful.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think they are on bye this week too. So I mean,
Can't take advantage of them. Sound money. These are some weird baseball teams. Yeah, right.
Oh, come on, Bob. What are you talking about? You and your baseball stuff. Come on now.
Dominican Winter League.
Oh, good God. He's it's nice to actually see you here, Bob. I haven't talked to you in a little while, but I know you're not much of a football guy. He's a hardcore baseball guy. He does have a site where he does talk about the fantasy baseball over there. I don't know the link or anything like that, but I mean it's
put your link in the Bob, put your link in the comment for your channel.
Yep. So if you want some fantasy baseball content, Bob over there, he can give you some nice good fantasy content. Does it all on his own, which is pretty nice. Mizzou
well, it's Greek. It's Greek.
Yes.
Get it with a side of Fretz mozzarella. Oh, there we go.
Yes,
Boom.
sir.
Bob Doe.
Yeah, Bob. We actually will. And I'm gonna have to reach out to you here soon too, because we have our best ball. I think our best ball baseball stuff. We'll have to try to get that ramped up too. So I'll probably reach out to you here pretty soon. So Eli, if you want in some best ball,
baseball, best ball. That's right up my alley. I'm totally down for that. I'll fucking do that shit. I just can't commit to a full year of that, but best ball. That sounds right up my alley.
I think we did two. Yeah, we did two best ball teams last year. So we did two of those last year. So
hell yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How do I grab the next one then?
I'm in two drafts.
Drafts right now. I'm in two drafts.
I think we did that more when people were when it got closer to the baseball season. I think, Bob. I can't remember exactly, but I'll reach out to you there.
Yeah, probably February.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I think I did an early one, and then I think we did one that was a little bit closer to the season. So we kind of did guys that kind of went up a little, moved up in the rankings a little bit. So we kind of did some of that too as well. So we did two of them. I think I finished middle of the pack in those. So I was like, at first I was at the top, but now I kind of finished toward the middle, if I remember right.
So it was just a downhill slide. Just
well, I had the downfall is I actually had some of my pitchers go out in me, and I'm like, I lost one guy for a season, so that didn't help me out much. So that didn't help me out much. And he was actually, I think he was actually I think I drafted him either the first or second round. He was a high strung pitcher, and he ended up going out, getting hurt for the whole season. So I'm like, yep, I was not happy.
No, I don't blame you. We're trying to. It's the whole name of the game. We're trying to bring home the gold. Trying to win. Every league we're in. Injuries will happen. Thanks for tuning in, Bob. Yeah. Being talk about baseball. Yep. There's the link one more time. Go check that out. And look forward to possibly being in a league in the future. With both you guys. Do you want to, Jay? Do you want?
This will be on Fantrax too. So there will be.
Perfect. I don't even have to download a new app. This is great. less hassle.
Yes.
Do you want to get into a little bit of moolah, a little bit of money?
Yeah. So everybody, those were Eli's and mine waiver wires. So I mean, there's a lot of tasteful guys out there for you to add. If you guys have any questions, put them up and jump them down in the comments section while we are still live. So if you guys have any other questions, don't be afraid to jump in here, man.
Yeah.
But other than that, let's
I got the jump rope going. Got the jump doing the cross. Doing the cross. Jump on in. Tap, taparoo. Getting in that. Bam. There we go. I need to stop. Here we go. Gonna make you some money. Week 12, Sleeper 5. We used to do DraftKings. I was converted over. I'm a convert from DraftKings over to Sleeper. I've seen the errors of my ways. I've seen the light. And now I got 5 guys for you. And my rule of thumb is 5 are free. the last one is on you. So if you do a 6, you're on your own. I can only hand out my pocket so much for you to walk along with me. Anyway, yep, I love that money. I love that sound effect. Excuse me, coughing up the bullshit. Number 1, Quinn Ewers. I'm gonna take the under on 283.5 passing yards. I just don't think he's not a consistent. He's not a McCord, Shador, one of Jackson Dart, one of these consistent 300 something yard guys. That's not Ewers' game. I don't trust him week to week. I'll be honest. Like fantasy wise, I mean he's a good starting quarterback. Obviously Texas, one of the best teams in the country, but fantasy wise, I don't trust him week to week. And so I'm going to, try to almost pretty close to doubling my money, 1.98x. And that's what that means. So it's pretty close to doubling my money there. And we're going to go Ewers under. He's going to be usually some weeks I do 2 unders, but more often than not, I do 1 under and usually 4 overs. So that's going to be my 1 under there. Armstrong from Arkansas. We can, like 2.5 times our money if we take a touchdown for him at any point, whether it's it could be a reverse, it could be a passing touchdown. Don't matter. That's why we got so many of those any touchdowns up there. We got three of the 5 categories are anytime touchdowns because it doesn't matter how you get them. So we're gonna roll with him there because I like that. I like it a lot. Will Shepherd, I'm gonna go with number 3, and that's also more than doubling our money there. He's at a half touchdown, any TD there. We're going to take the over on that. That's not asking that much for these guys to get 1 touchdown. I mean, Armstrong is a damn good fantasy player, as is Shepherd at points. So that's not asking that much of these guys to have a touchdown. Jay was saying about Utah's defense. I get that, but I think Shador is going to have a big game, and that's why I have him in number 4. So I'm tagging him up, tagging up Shador and Shepherd there. And Shador, we can over double our money as well. 329.5 passing yards, because why the hell not? That's pretty much what he's been averaging all year, and he's a lot of 350, 400-yard games. I think it continues here. I don't know. I think Utah, like, what are they playing for? A bowl eligibility? You know what I mean? Their season went to hell. Cam Rising, put them in hell if you want to blame him. But Utah is just I don't know. I'll see how much fight they have left in them, but I think Colorado is going to torch them. I think they're going to put up over 40, and Shador is going to have a monster game. I'd go with him there. And any Travis Hunter, any of his receivers, I'd be okay with as well. And then Ropati from BYU. LJ Martin, the other running back, I didn't like his odds as much, so I kind of stayed away from him. Ropati, he's had a couple games with touchdown this year, so hoping this is another one of those. We can over double our money with him as well. Just doesn't matter how it happens, receiving, rushing, whatever it is, taking the over there. Any thoughts on these 5 guys, Jay, as we try to help people make some money?
I know this one is kind of close for me. Sanders, I don't think he's going to pass over 329 yards. So that one might be cutting it close, honestly. I just think that Utah is going to be coming out with a sledgehammer, like I said earlier in the show, and I don't think he's going to be passing for 329 yards. But, I mean, hey, if you're brave enough, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think I see the touchdowns, yes, but I don't think he's going to be throwing for 329 yards in my eyes. So, I mean, 2.5 touchdowns might be cutting it close. So, I mean, Rapati, it's very possible because they kind of got a 2-headed monster there a little bit. But, I mean, it's with them. Now I can't remember who they're playing now because I got that. Oh, that's right. It's a night game, too. They're playing Kansas. So, yeah, there should – very possible if Martin doesn't see it, Rapati will probably see that touchdown too as well because they are both talented backs too as well. I like it.
So yeah, we're going big here. We're just about every one of them is doubling your money, more than that, a little bit less, give or take. So we're going big or going home. So we'll roll with these 5 for us, and this is on Sleeper. Obviously, a bunch of different platforms, apps to do this on, but I'm loving Sleeper so far. They give you different categories for the players too. Like Quinn Ewers, you don't necessarily have to do the passing yards with him. Will Shepard, you don't have to do the anytime touchdown with him. You can do receiving yards with him, receptions. Quinn Ewers, you can do rushing yards. How many rushing yards Quinn Ewers going to have? How many passing touchdowns is going to have? So they give you a bunch of different options. I'm a big fan. Become a big fan. You know what? What's up, Dorks? Yeah, Jared.
Yeah.
He's back.
So before we hit up to the next segment, we have a quick question here from our lovely fan Donovan. Here's a question: how do I get one of my about 500 teams into your damn playoffs? Do I not believe I made a single college playoff out of 4 leagues?
Well, Jamie, since he's commissioner, he's the commissioner. I don't have that kind of stroke. I don't have that kind of power. He can just wave his magic wand and he can take one of the playoff teams. That's the only way you're making the damn playoffs is if he takes one of them out and sticks you in place of them. You might have to have a little buy in there if you catch my drift.
Yeah. So with some of the leagues I had 12 guys in there, I forgot to change it to 6. So at least we had 6 teams. So this go around, there's only 4 teams that get in, but next year it'll be 6 teams for sure next year. So I was trying to actually change it before it wasn't allowed to, before they're like, nope, you can't change it after so long. And I'm like, God damn it. Cause I didn't realize there was only 4 teams. I'm like, oh shit. That's not fair for the others, for
it's
the other 2 teams that can't make it in when there's 12 of us, so it's like, yeah.
Well, be good enough. I mean, that's our all of our faults. Just be in the top 4. It's like the old. Remember, you're an old baseball fan, Donovan. You remember the old there was only league championship series in the AL, NL. So and there was only 4 teams that made the playoffs back then. So this is like the equivalent now. Jared, just like the Packers in the actual playoffs, you will be on the outside looking in. Yeah. If you want to buy it, you might want to sell Donovan a ticket, Jay. Email it to him so he can print one off, so he can get some binoculars. What's going on? Oh man, it's been rough. Yeah, it's been rough. I'm not. I mean, I'm sitting in a good spot here. A couple of our leagues. Speaking of that,
I missed my playoffs in 4 of the 5 teams. So I'm in the playoffs in 4 others, but besides just 1. So kind of a bummer. But I was close. I was close myself too because I won, and I'm like, there were quite a few 6-6 teams, and I'm like, I think Donovan was talking about the one of the leagues that you're not in with us, Eli, and we went 6. I think there was 4 teams or 5 teams that went 6-6, and it's like, oh my god. So there was one week where I totally forgot to set my lineup or something like that, so I ended up losing one. I'm like, god dang it. So that kind of hurt me in the long run. If not, I probably would have been in the playoffs right now.
Yeah. It's probably not the one we're in, but I know. Let's see. I think both of these. Let's see here. Playoff.
Yeah, the couple that you're in, I'm pretty sure you might be in most.
I'm in one of the 2. I just missed the other. I'm in. Yep. Yep. So no, not a. This has been a damn good, productive year for everybody with Fantrax, and it's been a lot of fun. There's just not a lot of places to do this yet. I think this is going to keep growing. Obviously, Yahoo just kind of shit the bed. They fucked up NASCAR. We used to play fantasy NASCAR over there. A bunch of guys used to do that. They fucked that up. College football, they could be doing that. Hot second. Oh, Donovan, I might need to borrow one of those 90s Lions paperbacks for my Dan or isn't Dan Orlovsky? Isn't he on fucking ESPN? Like the guy that ran out of the back of the end zone, Lions quarterback. I'm pretty sure he's got a whole closet full of bags with the.
I think I see a bag right. I think I see a bag right behind you too, buddy. I think I see one in there somewhere.
It's full. No,
but you know, in turns,
I'll look like
I
a
know
fucking giant Christmas decoration if I do that.
in turns, I mean, you know, yeah, Fantrax is one place to play fantasy, you know, college fantasy. There might be another place where we can actually play
I need
college
more.
fantasy.
Yeah, give us
There
more.
might there might be one place, and where is that, Eli? Where is this other place we can actually play college fantasy at?
I'm sleeper. I wish it was sleeper. I wish it
I
was
wish
sleeper.
it was sleeper too, but I mean,
I wish
hell,
it was sleeper.
Sleeper's dragging their ass over there. Hey,
They
Sleeper,
are.
if you're watching right now or listening, we
I'm
like
gonna tag you in this. We're gonna tag you in this shit tonight. Watch this damn video. The whatever the fucking 125 mark. Get college fantasy on Sleeper. Need it.
Oh, actually, what I should do is actually reshare the video that actually is out on our YouTube to actually get Sleeper's attention. Maybe I should get that reposted once again so that we can actually get Sleeper to get college fantasy football on there, so we can actually play on their platform instead of this lousy basketball bullshit. But you know, football might be a little bit better. But hey, other than that, there is one other place we can play college fantasy football at.
Well, why don't you tell the people, huh? Tell the people about it.
I think it starts with an. I think it starts with an S. Is that right? It starts with an S and it ends with a B. And I think that's called Squad Blitz.
This is a different kind of fantasy. I'm living a fantasy because I'm about to make the playoffs. About to make the playoffs. Just one more week. Squad Blitz. Oh yes. Things might be over for some of you fantasy owners. You know, you missed the cut like Donovan. You know, it's just you want to cry yourself to sleep. I get it. I do too. But Squad Blitz, week 12, the cutoff is now. I'm 6-5. The guy ahead of me has way less, has like 300 less points than I do, but he's got one more victory. So he's like 7-4. So basically, I need to win. He needs to lose. That's what needs to happen to get me one of the 4 spots in the playoffs so I can bring home the gold in the inaugural Squad Blitz season for both of us. Jay's sitting at 4-7. He's kicking ass in the other league that he's in, but 4-7 in this league, you know, just it's tough going. These guys, this is stacked competition. I mean, I've been laying it down with the points, and I'm still only in 5th right now. So I mean, it's a stacked league. These guys know what they're doing. Great competition, great year. You know what? We're gonna go heavy this last week of Squad Blitz. Hopefully, it's not my last week. Hopefully, I get to do a week 13 for you guys. Like, oh, Eli made it in the playoffs, but Colorado and Clemson. And by the way, I'll reference Indiana's on a bye, so I can't use Indiana. Obviously, I would love to use Indiana, especially in the rushing spot there with Notre Dame, but can't do it. So passing, going with Colorado, they have over 252 points. Clemson, not too far behind, almost 250. I like both of them. Cade Klubnik and Shador both had damn good seasons. So I'm okay with those 2 categories. I think I'll get enough points there. Notre Dame's, with Riley Leonard and Love, I mean, the rushing attack has been great all year. Have over 343 points. The surprise this week is the transfer I got. The Raging Cajuns, baby. 8-1. 8-1 Raging Cajuns. I'm going to go with their rushing attack. They got 285 points. First time I've used them. Yeah, first time I've used them. Jay, I don't think Jay's used them in either of the Squad Blitz leagues he's in.
No,
so
not at all.
We're popping the Louisiana fast. We're popping the cherry there to see if they can help me get in the playoffs, get a big win this week. And then defense, I've used these 2 squads before on defense. It's kind of just on points. Neither of them have particularly great matchups, but Pitt's at 232, SMU is at 220. So just need some sacks, maybe a defensive touchdown. Just need a little luck there, I think, with the defenses. But I'm fairly confident in definitely Notre Dame, Colorado, Clemson. Louisiana is kind of a wild card, and then Pitt and SMU. I'll take what I can get there. Yeah, but you need a win. You need a win. 6-5.
Yeah, you have a favorable matchup Because he's got Washington State, Western Kentucky, Navy, Army. Army's on bye, which will probably help you out quite a bit there because he's got both of them as his rushing teams. Yep. So he's got UNLV, Fresno State, which is on bye too, but he's got his benches South Alabama and Oregon State. So you might snag this one up, man. So I mean, Colorado, you got Colorado, Clemson for your passing teams, which is their stout team. I mean, it all depends on how good they play against Utah. So that game is kind of a, to me, it's going to be kind of a wash game, I think. But I mean, there's a good chance for some touchdown upside there.
Are you? I think you're secretly a Utah Utes fan. I think
damn right I am.
Underneath the hoodie, he's got one of those stupid red shirts with the U and the little leaf thing. A little feather thing.
Hey, man! I've been a Utah fan since Zach Moss tore it up with the Utes before he got drafted. So,
he was great.
Oh yeah. I'm a Utah.
He was good this year until he got hurt. But damn it,
I was torn because watching that BYU Utah game last night or the other last Saturday. I wanted Utah to win, but deep down I wanted BYU to continue on with no losing. Not take
so we can get a national champion not named fucking Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. I'm so set. Yeah, I BYU keep this alive. Oregon, obviously Oregon hasn't won a title, so Texas, I guess it's been almost 20 years, so we need some new blood. Maybe another upset. Boise, maybe another upset story. So I was pulling for BYU too, but BYU, I actually transferred. Transferred BYU to get the Raging Cajuns. So see if anybody else in the league picks them up and uses BYU, but.
For sure. I mean, I think there's a good chance for you to maybe swing by. I mean, I think there's a good chance for you to, get a dub and actually get into the championship and actually beat, one of the creators of Squad Blitz out.
Good. I beat you at your own damn game. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, this has been fun. Yeah, this has been fun. I'd like to do a couple of these leagues next year. Definitely. Squad Blitz has been it's probably some of the most fun I've had with fantasy. And I like the format, the good people. The app needs a little, needs a few tweaks, but I mean, just overall the experience has been great. And Jay's great about feedback with them, with the Squad Blitz guys. So
maybe this off season maybe we can try to get a stream with get the Squad Blitz guys on.
Oh, it'd be fun, man. That'd be great.
We can talk about they can talk about their app and why they created it and stuff like that and whatnot. And I mean, right now, honestly, if you think about it, we are the only people that are actually kind of bringing up Squad Blitz and actually, putting it out there for people to, go take a look at their, their app, maybe make a league, get people, get a group of your friends together and, have some fun with the college fantasy world.
That's right. Man doesn't lie. And finally, Jay, you know what? We're doing good on time tonight. I'm not pissing him off. I don't think I'm pissing off any of the listeners here. Oh, Eli, you're rambling on. We're at 150.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus. Everybody's got a good point about that. But I'm gonna keep it short and sweet here. This graphic, along with the Squad Blitz graphic, will both be up on X. So I'm gonna be posting those weekly. As long as the season's going on. I mean, it might change here in a few weeks once the college season's over, but I'll be posting those up there so you can get a better look at it and see if they do anything online. People want to take a look. But Tulane Mensa, he's not the highest ranked fantasy quarterback by any means, number 69, but this is a big game. Tulane, they're, like we said earlier, finally got into the top 25, ranked number 25. We both love the Tulane program. Both love Mekhi Hughes. And, Mensa, I think he's going to have a nice game against Navy. I think that's a favorable matchup. So, if you need to use him in a prop or fantasy, if you need to stick him in, I think he's got a good matchup there with Navy. Riley Leonard, mentioned him earlier on waivers. Like we were saying on Fantrax, last 5 games minimum, he's had at least 27 fantasy points. Donovan Imo is pissed off, but why don't you tell us how you really feel? Riley Leonard, number 12. Hey, actually, Riley Leonard's had a damn good fantasy year. He really has. Number 12 fantasy quarterback, kind of an under the radar. For being a big program, big quarterback, he's kind of had an under the radar, good season. Virginia's trash, so a favorable matchup there. I think Notre Dame's going to roll. I think Riley's going to have another big, at least on the ground wise, might get you a touchdown through the air as well. Rashard Smith from SMU, he's going to need it. They need to keep the train rolling. SMU, I know we haven't talked about him tonight, but if Miami slips up again, Clemson's kind of shit the bed as well. But if Miami slips up again, SMU is in the catbird seat to take the ACC. As crazy as that sounds, yeah, SMU might, first year in the conference might end up winning this thing. If they just kind of, keep rolling along. Smith, number 11 fantasy running back. He's had a damn good year, and I like he's versatile. A lot of leagues you can, especially on Fantrax, you can use him as a running back or a receiver. So he's very flexible there. And I think SMU is going to roll Boston College and keep the train on the tracks and maybe jump up a couple spots in the rankings. if some teams lose. So SMU's there. Woody Marks. I said I wouldn't talk about this damn game again. I should. Why are we doing this? But you know what, Woody Marks, he's been having some good games lately. They obviously, they bench Miller Moss. So USC, I don't know if they've thrown up the white flag on the season. I don't know if they're going to shit can Lincoln Riley, but Woody Marks he hasn't given up anything. I mean, he's still playing hard. Number 16 fantasy back. I got USC beating Nebraska. Salvage the season somewhat. At least get to a bowl game. Nick Nash, number 1 fantasy receiver. We've had him here a couple times because why not? The guy has over 200 fantasy points. I mean, come on now. Monster year. Playing Boise. I think there's going to be points galore in that game. I really do. I think that should have been one of my big 4 games on the bottom. Maybe Jay if he has his graphic, maybe that'll be one of his big 4 games. But if you want a late night one to go to bed to or drink to, whatever, hang out. San Jose State, Boise State, that'll be a great offensive game. But I got Nick Nash up there. If they're gonna have any chance in that game, it's got to be with him, Brown to Nash. That's their only chance against Boise, is just airing it out. And then DT Sheffield, I think Chandler Morris, he had an off week against Army. We all acknowledge that. He was the dud of the week, but I think he rebounds here. I think DT Sheffield rebounds here and has over 100 yards, at least a touchdown. UT San Antonio, they're not much of a threat. I think North Texas is going to handle them nicely. And yeah, like we were mentioning earlier, the number 4 fantasy receiver, which I don't think a lot of people knew that. Like, holy shit. So North Texas has a top 10 fantasy quarterback and a top 5 fantasy receiver. You damn right they do. And Ward, the other receiver, isn't far off. He's having a damn good season too. So these are my 6 guys to watch. And like I said, this will be up on the X as well as the Squad Blitz graphic too.
Yeah, maybe you can make a little poll or something with these.
Could do that.
Like, hey, out of a couple of these guys, who do you think is the best, has the best matchup or something like that along those lines or whatever.
Oh yeah, definitely I could do that.
But yeah, I do like the I hope Tulane does beat Navy, which I kind of like that there. I haven't really had a chance. Earlier, I think it was early this year, we watched just a little bit the MSU game. I think it was a night where we all, like you and I, we all went out to 322 and we watched some MSU, or no, that was Boise. That was BYU. That's right. But I think MSU was on later on or something, one of those games. But I do like Nash against Boise State here too as well. San Jose is a high flying passing team as well. But I think this is going to be a good game to kind of keep an eye on too. I think I'm going to be snagging watching that game a little bit too myself. I don't know, Sheffield and UTSA, that might be a good game. We talked about Cephas last year, from the Roadrunners.
Yeah, Josh Cephas. Hell yeah.
Yeah. He helped. He was pretty much the lead. He actually broke records down there with with the with the Roadrunners down there. So
he was the lead Roadrunner. Meep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meep.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, these are not some bad guys. I mean, I like Menza a little bit. I think he came from either Oregon State or one of those. I think he came from or it was Ellis, not LSU. It was one of these other teams he came from. It was a Southern team, I think. I can't remember exactly, but I think he transferred into Tulane here, and I kept it. I was going to keep UCLA. I think it was the team he transferred from, I believe.
Let me see here.
I know he was a transfer. One of them was a transferred in. I know that they skipped.
No, Darian Mensah's a freshman.
Is he? Well, I know they had a transfer too. I know they had a transfer come in too. I can't remember which guy it was, but I know they had a transfer come in for their team too as well.
They need to. This is a guy, and I brought him up. This is a guy that they gotta protect. I mean, I don't know like what his financial situation is or isn't, but I could see some big program, Florida State, trying to back the Brinks truck up and getting this guy because he's got he does. Look at the stats. We always talk about Mekhi Hughes, but we'll just talk about Darian Mensah real quick and we'll move on. But 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, over 2,000 yards passing, completing just under 66% of his passes. His fault is why we haven't heard of him, why he's number 69 is because he's only got 26 yards rushing. So he's not really a mobile guy. But for a freshman, he's had a damn good season, and the future is bright at Tulane. I hope they can keep him. I hope a big program doesn't swoop in and grab him.
That's about right. Yeah, I was just going to take a look because I know they had one guy that was a transfer for their quarterbacks. I can't remember who transferred in. There was somebody that transferred in. I think he was a UCLA guy, I believe. I'll probably look that up later.
Wait. DTR?
Hey, I wish it was DTR, but hell.
they need him back at UCLA. They're fucking garbage.
Yeah, right? All right. We'll actually get into we'll get into our matchups of the week here, and then we'll get the hell up out of here.
There we go. Ooh.
Boom. So yes, notable games to watch for this weekend because some of these games will be some playoff infidelities here, and we got Georgia and Tennessee, Colorado, Utah, Boise State, San Jose, and we got BYU, Kansas. So these are some notable games, some teams that are ranked that could possibly be upset, and these are some very damn close games.
I think Georgia. I think Georgia's going to beat Tennessee. I know I just talked a bunch of shit about Carson Beck, but they pretty much won in spite of the guy, all year. So I think Georgia loses, they're done. They're not getting. You can't fuck over smaller schools or less established. The Indianas of the world. Programs like that. Maybe Colorado. You can't fuck over programs like that. BYU's. For 3-loss SEC teams. I'm sorry. Like you're not a top 12 team. So Georgia's playing for their lives here. They're going to beat Tennessee. Tennessee have a little bit of buffer. If they lose, they still only have 2 losses. They'll still be in the top 15 in the rankings. So Colorado, Utah. I mean, I've said my piece about that. Colorado is gonna torch them. Jamie thinks it's going to be competitive. He thinks Utah's defense is going to show up. He's got a big U that he's got tattooed. He's got a big U that he's got tattooed across his chest there. Got a nice big chest piece there. He loves him some Utah, but Colorado gonna beat them senseless. Boise, San Jose State. Boise's gonna win. They're just a better team, but there's gonna be a lot of points there. Gonna be a lot of fun. I love those late night games, man. Those are fun as hell. And then BYU and Kansas. This might be This is a watch game. This could be an upset alert kind of game. Like BYU needs to handle business. They need to handle their business because Kansas is they've had a down year from where we thought they'd be. I think they were a preseason top 25 team. Like Kansas is really shit the bed. but they still have a little, they still have Devin Neal, the stud running back, and a few other guys. So it could be an upset there. I'm taking BYU, but I'd be on upset alert there with Kansas and BYU.
Yeah, this one was kind of close for me. I'm like, yeah, this should be a game for like BYU to just like, all right, it's
they need to kill these guys, Jay. They need to like stamp like, hey, we're a playoff team. They need to win like fucking 52-7 because all the other playoff teams all have wins like that over lesser conference teams. They like Texas just slapped Florida around senselessly. Oregon slapped around some lower Big Ten teams. You need to slap somebody around, and in BYU, this would be a perfect team to rough up because Kansas has had a super disappointing season.
Yeah. I was just gonna take a look real quick here. Yeah, because they trying to figure out one of their games that had a big blow. I mean, they played Kansas State. They blew it 38-9. I mean, it wasn't quite. I mean, they had Oklahoma State. That was a pretty close game. I mean, UCF that they barely won that game 31-24. So I mean, there was a lot of games that were pretty much
couldn't stop RJ Harvey.
Yeah. I mean, they played they barely beat MSU, 18-15. So this has to be a game where they just like, all right, guys, we need to come out and just blow these guys out of the water 41-2 or 41-7 or whatever heck it is. But they need to not let these guys really score anything and just show that these guys are playoff ready to because they're pretty much they have no losses, and these are guys that the second round you be facing a BYU team in the second round. So I mean, they have to show them, all right, guys, we are a team that if you're coming to play, you better be ready.
Because if I'm Boise, like right now they're at what is that the playoff ranking 13? They're gonna get in. I mean, they're gonna be the G5 team if everything plays out. But if I'm Boise, if I pull an upset like if it's a 5-12 matchup and like let's say it's like I don't know.
No, these are just those. Oh, sorry, these are just their normal rankings.
Oh, okay. Well, let's say it's a Penn State, and Penn State's a 5 and Boise's a 12. Boise beats Penn State. I would be chomping at the bit to try to get a piece of BYU if BYU's I guess maybe Boise would have to play the 1 seed, play Oregon, but but regardless, I would want. I couldn't wait fast enough. If I won my first round matchup, that's the team I would want is BYU. Of all the conference champions, I would want BYU as my second round matchup. Absolutely. Yeah. They need to prove me wrong.
And then I'm going to go Utah here, and I want Tennessee to win because I have no love for Georgia. I don't love
Georgia either. I in my heart I wish Tennessee would win, but my head's telling me Georgia. Like their backs are against the wall. They're going to find a way.
My fantasy pick is Tennessee, Utah, but I mean it's going to be a close game between Colorado and Utah.
Oh my God.
And Boise State should beat San Jose and BYU, but it's going to be. I think it's going to be a close. I think it's going to be a close one. I think because Georgia lost to Ole Miss, and I'm sure they're going to come back and want to prove to them like, hey, it was that Ole Miss loss, to shake it off their shoulders, and so it's just kind of one of those things.
Off your shoulder. Yep.
Yeah, but I want Tennessee to win. I just don't care. I mean, this Georgia loses, they're out and they're done. I don't care. But those are our notable games to watch for the weekend. Our thoughts and the winners of each game. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, we appreciate everybody that jumped into chats with us. Loved everybody jumping in there. Got a little sidetracked with a little baseball talk there briefly, but I mean, hey,
our show. Do whatever the hell we want.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, if there's anybody else that has any quick questions, for their fantasy teams, don't be scared to jump out or before we jump off here. If not, you're gonna have to wait until next Wednesday to ask your fantasy questions. If not, jump in our Discord, ask your fantasy questions there too as well. There's some good talent, some guys there, or you can find me up on X too as well. But yeah, other than that, is there anything else you want to mention, Eli, before we get up out of here?
No. We'll be back again next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel. I think that's how the saying goes. But yeah, you can go back and listen to tonight's episode, any of the previous stuff. I mentioned earlier in the show, like always, we got YouTube Shorts, we got full-length episodes on YouTube, full-length episodes on Spotify, over on the X with my good Nomi friend here. We're over on the X, Apple Podcast, Podbean. Don't get over on Discord much. That what I don't know. Discord's kind of I got a distaste for Discord lately, but the X, you'll find us a little more over there. And can't wait for next week's episode. Going to start our college spotlights hopefully very soon.
Yes,
get those out for you guys because we're chomping at the bit for the draft. Now we've got almost a whole 2024 season in the books. I wish I was here for baseball. Right? We get. I'd love to do some baseball content with if we ever did like a whatever like an all-star show or something, an all-star, if all the guys we stream with or support, do an all-star collection and talk a little bit about everything, because a lot of these teams, a lot of these sports in the off season, baseball, college football is gonna be in off season pretty soon, so NFL not a few more months. I know we got basketball started up, but
yeah, which is why we're gonna we'll totally kind of start getting our college spotlights out, and we'll talk about college players, the 2025 NFL draft, and where we think these guys are suitable, not actually typical draft spots, mock drafts or anything, or we're just gonna give you guys notable thoughts on where those guys should end up land, where it seems more suitable, where teams are lacking.
Carson Beck. 7th round pick.
But yeah. Other than that, we'll be back next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, 7:10, somewhere in there, and we'll give you your quarterfinal, matchups or waiver wires for those, and we'll have your studs and duds and props.
Hopefully I get to make a squad blitz. Keep me alive. One more week.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I think that ends our show. Well, I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We'll catch you guys next Wednesday. Later.